In this guide, you're going to learn one of the dumbest strategies I've ever seen that actually works in League of Legends. But first, let me quickly explain the wild journey I took from finding out about this strategy months ago to creating this guide that shows you exactly how to abuse it today. And it all starts with a man who goes by the name of Fat Ugly Baby. You see, months ago, I queued up for a game and was disheartened to see I had a Smite Nunu support on my team, and immediately thought to myself, oh, he's trolling. But then I read the chat and see the words, I'm not trolling, I'm rolling, followed by a link. The link opens up to an entire PDF file curated by Fat Ugly Baby that explains exactly what he's going to do to get his team on board with a strategy no one has ever seen before. He then tells me to pick Kindred, so I did. He told me where to path, so I listened. Anything he told me to do, I did, and honestly, Fat Ugly Baby got me the most fed I've ever been in a game. Since that game, I've had countless sleepless nights. I've never been as fed as I was in the game I had with Fat Ugly Baby. So I've taken it upon myself to learn his strategy. I must become the Nunu, and I will teach you how to do it too. With the power of Skill Capped, I was able to get Fat Ugly Baby himself to personally teach me the ins and outs of this strategy that he uses to easily climb to Masters with a 70% win rate. So let's just get straight into it. First of all, I promise that this actually works. Fat Ugly Baby is the Nunu pioneer that came up with this strategy, and he easily climbs to Masters with 70+% win rate doing nothing but this. In fact, step 1 to doing this strategy is actually the hardest part, and that's getting the game to go through champ select. Of course, there is an easy fix. That is why it's mandatory to make a PowerPoint presentation that convinces your team that you know what you're doing, which in my case, I definitely didn't yet, but I had a guy that did, and you guys have this video. Make sure to include a table of contents and some good memes, as well as clear instructions on what your team should be doing and why the strategy works. Feel free to use his same explanations or the ones that you'll come to understand throughout this guide, but the memes you're gonna have to come up with on your own. Oh, and ban Blitzcrank or Draven. The hardest counter to this strategy is champions that can punish your ADC when you're not in lane. These champions are brutal for you and your carry, so just get rid of them. Here's your rune page that you'll be running every game, but that's not even where the pregame prep ends. Once you're in the game, you have about a minute before you need to actually do anything. And this is where we start step 2, engaging in mental warfare. Part of what makes this strategy good is the fact that your opponents will think you are griefing and will not take you seriously, but we are absolutely not going to be doing any griefing. Tell your teammates to complain about you in all chat and then fake fight with them saying that someone stole your role or that you're getting back at them for last game. Whatever it is, lean into it, practice your acting skills, and lower your opponent's guard for step 3, which is the actual gameplay portion of Nunu support. Every game, we're going to start sweeper and think about which camp we want to take away at the start of the game. Nunu's Smite and Q combo does absurd damage, 1,000 to be exact, and that is right under the threshold for the Big Raptor and Big Wolf to die. Basically, you can auto a few times and combo, instantly killing the camp. Obviously, we're not going to be taking our own junglers' camps at the beginning of the game, I'm talking about our opponents. Turn on your sweeper at 120-ish and just walk right in. There are plenty of cases where you'll be spotted on a ward, and even if they know you're coming, no one can outsmite you. It is perfectly fine to die or use your flash just to screw over the enemy jungler and waste people's time. But most of the time, that won't even be necessary. You can even end up saving Smite sometimes and stealing away extra camps if you're not spotted. In my first attempt, I not only got the enemy wolves, but also their Gromp and almost killed Bel'Veth too. Then I made the entire enemy team chase me around for ages and they lost a ton of tempo, XP, and gold from not being at their waves or farming, while I was not affected at all. In Masters Plus, at least in NA, almost everyone has seen this strategy at least once, so they know what's going to happen. But even if they try to stop you, there's often just very little they can do about it. Just walk in, take the camp, and get out. I even convinced a challenger support, the analyst of TSM, to try this out, and he had insane success on his first try in a challenger lobby with me coaching him through it. But more on that later. Basically, this works, regardless of rank or if people know what's happening. So it's not just cheese. And if this strategy still piques your curiosity after this guide, then you'll be pleased to know we created a course at Skill Cap that includes all the full-length gameplay live commentated by Fat Ugly Baby himself, so you can see exactly how to do this from start to finish in multiple games. I also uploaded my own game where I'm being live coached by Fat Ugly Baby as well. So click the link in the description below to sign up and check it out after this. Anyways, at the start of the game, you want to invade the side that's less risk to you. Raptors or wolves are both fine since you don't even need to hit level 2 off of this. You just need the big creep. So just look at the enemy comp and see who's going to have CC at level 1 to lock you down. Being able to proc phase rush and run away is really easy, but hooks and stuns are going to ruin your day. If you can get level 2, that's great, but if not, there are a ton of workarounds here. One, you can leech XP off of 2 creeps from mid, and that will get you level 2. Or you can take 2 of the small krugs at the end of your jungler's clear, and that'll still get them level 4 and you level 2. So it's a complete win-win. You might be wondering what we do until our jungler gets to krugs in that case, but this is really why the strategy is so broken. Step 4. You can just go start leashing every single camp for your jungler. Clears for most people are going to take around 330 to finish, but by doing this, you're going to accelerate the process a lot. Start the camps for them, drag them towards your jungler so they can speed through their clear and just keep moving on, helping them the whole way. But be sure not to take any creeps until the little krugs right at the end. Jarvan gets done with his clear in this example at 250 because of this, and it's not even possible for the enemy jungler to get level 4 because you've taken away at least one of their camps already and given your jungler a huge boost in tempo. Now we can just gank a lane and not have to worry about getting counter ganked at all. One thing I want to make note of is that we want to make our bot lane survive. This is not a strategy about ditching bot lane and never ganking for your carry. In fact, winning bottom is a huge focus of it. And if we can constantly make our jungler, who's going to be super fed and high level, constantly show up bottom, it doesn't even matter that you aren't going to be there all the time, you can still win the lane. It's definitely not required, but that's why it's important for your jungler to path towards bottom. If you just try to gank bot alone, you have to remember that it's only a 2v2 now, and you don't have an advantage there. Don't try to jump ship at any point on this strategy and just start laning normally. You can afford to sacrifice your carry to try and get other people ahead, and even involve your mid laner or a top teleport to turn the tides of bot lane later. But you are not going to influence bot alone and will fall behind if you don't commit to the strategy and start playing the map. This really relies on a few core ideas that we'll continue to use throughout the mid game, which is a lot less flowcharted than the first few minutes of the game. XP distribution is a huge reason why this can be successful, and it's because of 2 mechanics: solo experience and catch-up XP. By leaving your ADC to get solo XP, they're going to be equal level to your solo laners, which will frequently outlevel the enemy bot lane by 2 levels or more. Of course, this comes at the cost of you not getting XP in lane, but we're going to abuse catch-up XP to negate this. Catch-up XP comes into play when you're down compared to the average level of the game, and by giving our ADC solo XP, that average is going to increase, meaning that catch-up XP kicks in earlier than usual. This is why you shouldn't care if you're just level 2 for a while, because once catch-up XP turns on, you can get full levels extremely easily. In the game that I was coaching in Challenger for Gito, TSM's analyst, you can see us take advantage of this fact. We were level 2 after ganking lanes and stealing away enemy camps, and it's almost 5 minutes. At this point, the average level of the game is level 4, so catch-up XP has already kicked in. Now we can take Raptors, and this gives us a full level. I instruct him to go to Dragon afterwards and get catch-up XP once again, and now we're even level with the enemy support, but our AD has way more XP. We only needed 2 camps to do this, so we're just being super efficient with how we actually get experience. And Nunu is not a champ that really needs a lot of levels to be effective in the first place. You're really just there to set up the gank with Snowball, and you don't need levels to do that. This is also why it's recommended to build tank. Fat Ugly Baby goes Radiant Virtue and tank items every game in high elo. Although if you do happen to get really fed in low elo, he does say you can go AP. Dark Seal is still a really gold efficient item even on tank Nunu, so feel free to build that if you have 350 gold laying around. But since we're going to be on a budget, tank items are the most effective way of generally having impact through your items and throughout your build. Basically, you're going to abuse this cycle of running around doing things to pressure the map, falling behind, and then abusing catch-up XP to stay equal level to the support while all of your other teammates get ahead. Remember, we're going to make our jungler be super strong. We're going to help them in ganking, counter jungling, and basically be a support for the jungler instead of the AD. Throughout the mid game, we should always be looking for ways to set the enemy jungle behind by taking their camps and just showing up with our jungler to consistently bully the opponent. They really won't be able to play the game and will likely collapse from all the pressure. Rage quitting is very common against this strat. The enemy jungler is going to be super behind while yours and your ADC are ahead. I know some of you will be a bit confused about one thing that I glossed over earlier, and that was taking our own team's Raptors. You can even listen to how confused Gito was when I said to do it. Okay, take Raptors, it's fine. And then after this, we're just
take Raptors?
Yeah, take him. We just go to Dragon. It's definitely not confusing as to why it feels wrong to do this, but your own team's camps aren't entirely off limits. We need to see how much Viego has to do. Obviously, if he's about to path into Raptors, I would never take these, but because all of his camps are up and we want to go to Dragon anyways, taking these Raptors just removes one thing that the enemy jungler can do as a counterplay to us. Since we're going to brute force everything and no one can outsmite you, junglers will just waste a ton of time if they try to contest objectives while you're there. In lower elos, like in my plat game that I played, you can see how I can just sort of dance here. My jungler is not even here, but the enemy jungler literally can't touch the objective at all because smite and Q combo is so strong. The fact that you exist is annoying in itself. So in higher elos, junglers are going to be better at dealing with this. Instead of contesting at Dragon, they'll try to counterplay on the other side of the map and take away your team's camps. Of course, in this game, Viego can't also prep this and do Dragon at the same time. Time for junglers is super limited and there's always places to be and things to do, but we essentially have two junglers. So by taking Raptors away, not only can I go to Dragon with Viego afterwards, but the enemy jungler can't do anything. They can't do the normal play of counter jungling and they can't contest Dragon either. So they'll just keep falling further and further behind. You can do all the jobs that your jungler wants to do, but simply doesn't have time to do. But again, this doesn't mean we're taking farm from them. If they're there, funnel them and then get catch-up XP. Even if you don't get the opportunity to do this, once again, Nunu really doesn't need levels to be effective. You can solo Dragon at level 2, so with this amount of objective control, we're really just trying to be at every objective on spawn. You will get tons of catch-up XP for these objectives and overall just contribute a ton towards winning the game. Basically, take what your jungler can't get and what you can get for free, because it's always going to give the opposing jungler less stuff to get. This is a very similar idea that we can apply towards crab spawns at 330. Remember that your jungler will be very ahead on tempo and you'll likely be able to be at both crabs on spawn. You can try to get your jungler both crabs, but it's often easier to just take one while your jungler takes the other. And this way, your opponent has no chance to get a crab of their own. This gives you much needed catch-up XP and gives Nunu access to one of his strongest tools, the move speed from crab.
Like in other people said, it's like, oh, he flashed with the crab, that's not worth, but I know that it is because it makes your ganking potential so much stronger.
This buff is so significant for Nunu that Fat Ugly Baby will consistently use Flash if it means he can secure it. The difference between snowballing without movement speed and with it is huge. You go much faster, and often this can make ganks work even if there are wards down, simply from the speed that you come in with. Just roll Snowball over Crab and gank success rates will go way up. After laning phase, your role really isn't that different from a normal support other than the fact that you have much better objective control, but no wards. So all the things and strategies you do later on will still be effective. Throughout the early game, you'll still be consistently ganking and roaming around the map. So that's not too different from a regular support. However, the idea is that by causing so much chaos in the early game, you will generate massive leads and games will end really quickly. And that was pretty much my experience playing it and seeing it. Games were over really fast. Even the first game I ever played with him, I was fed almost instantly. And I'm not kidding when I say that it was one of the most fun games to play. Your junglers will absolutely love you if you start to get good at this strategy because it takes the most OP role in solo queue and makes it even more broken. Even in my first game playing it and Jito's first game, it went super easily and it's also just fun. I was able to have high impact in the game while playing a role that I feel like most players in low elos struggle to feel like they can carry on and they get frustrated, which I can totally relate with. If you're not sold yet, I really implore everyone to try it at least once. I think you'll all be super surprised at just how good this idea is. And it's honestly impressive and refreshing that such a seemingly ridiculous strategy is still being developed in a game where a standard lane assignment meta is pushed so hard by Riot. If you want to become the new god yourself, remember to check out our special course over at Skillcapped for all of the full-length live commentaries, the live coaching session, and so much more. We have world-class courses, thousands of additional commentaries, and we release a ton of new site-exclusive content every week. That paired with our rank up guarantee makes it a no-brainer to join us at Skillcapped if you really want to climb. So use our discount link in the description below if you're interested. Have fun trying out this ridiculous strategy yourselves, and we'll catch you in the next one.